Hello and greetings from across the Media Multiverse. And I've got a little friend here today. Hello. Regardless of whether you live in New York, London, Rome, or anywhere that has a tube underground rail network, one of the biggest fear most people have is being held hostage whilst you're on that train. Not only are you a hostage, you are also trapped in the bowels of the earth. Go up a bit. Yes. A bomb will not only blow up the train, it will also crumble the surrounding walls. Yes, of course, you're dead from the main blast. But the knowledge of this is scarier than it is if you are held similarly hostage in an overground train. Or at least that's how it feels to me. So, anyway, this is what happens to New York tube train Pelham 123. Terrorists, yes, as you can see, I'm moving my hands, so Madam has gone. Terrorists hijack it, the train, not Madam, and the passengers, and give the controllers 60 minutes to get the ransom money, or they will start to kill the passengers should the money not materialise. I recently watched both the 1974 and 2009 movies back to back, and the first thing to say about both is that they are very good films. Now, in watching both, there were certain questions that were running through my mind. Will the plan work? Was the first one, the obvious one. How will the city of New York react to the hijackers' demands? How can the hijackers make their escape when they're visible on the tube railway grid? And in 2009, on the internet where they're being live streamed. And finally, in both films, there is this insistence that all the lights along the route are green for the tube train. Why? What is that speciality? What does it signify? What does it do? But despite that, there are differences in tone, and that is kind of obvious because they are two totally different films. I personally found that the 1974 version was more claustrophobic, whereas the 2009 version was more of an action-packed thriller. It is the same essential story, but they do diverge in the telling of that story. For example, in the 2009 version, the hijacking is streamed via the internet by one of the hostages who is letting his girlfriend know what is happening to him. And obviously, this is something that would never have happened in 1974. Now, although this does bring the film slap bang up to date, my preference is for the 1974 version, where no one saw the hijackers, as in the general public. The general public did not see the hijackers, nor did they see what the hostages were going through, or indeed who were the hostages. And I just thought that that was probably better from a claustrophobic viewpoint. And if you're worried about your loved one, are they in the train or not? Another difference is, for example, in the name of the lead hijacker. In 1974, Robert Shaw plays Mr. Blue, which is obviously a code name, whereas in 2009, John Travolta plays Ryder with a Y. Again, is that an alias or is it a real name? We don't know. But those are the sort of things where you tell the same story, but you sort of divulge. Now, the ending is also a bit of an issue. I like the fact that in 2009 we see more of a connection between the controller and the lead hijacker. But I felt that the actual ending to the 1974 version was cleverer, and it just was better and slightly less cliched. Unfortunately, spoilers stop me from going into too much detail because I don't want to spoil either film for you, because they're both good films. And one of the reasons why they're both good films is they have strong casting. In 1974, we had Walter Matthau as the controller and Robert Shaw as the lead hijacker. In 2009, we had Denzel Washington as the controller and John Travolta as the lead hijacker. And also, 2009 was gifted James Gandolfino, who plays the mayor of New York City and steals practically every scene that he is in. In both versions, all the actors, whether they were the main, the supports, hijackers, passengers, people in the control room, police, etc., all upped their game to make sure that we believed in them and they had believability at the core of the film. Now, one of the main questions is, in only 60 minutes, what can New York City do to help release the hostages? We see the demand being made to the controller, the demand being passed along to the police and ultimately to the mayor's office. But what does the City of New York do? And this is a question that plagues politicians since way back and will continue to do so. If the mayor releases the funds to the hijackers, he will save the lives of the people in the train. But that could then mean that he is seen as a soft touch and other people could hijack other trains further along the line. However, if he plays hardball and refuses to release the funds, then that is going to sign the death warrant to the hostages. And if you were mayor, what would you do? It is a very tricky situation as to what to do. And talking of the passengers, there is a difference with the way they're depicted in 1974 and 2009. In 1974, there was more interaction between them and we got to know them a lot better than we do in the 2009 version. In 2009, there is a gun pointed at a particular hostage and we see that person scared that they are about to lose their life, or they do lose their life. I'm not going to tell you which. We also see that one of the hostages, as I said, streams what is going on in the carriage to his girlfriend through the internet. But generally speaking, we got more interaction between the passengers in 1974. But which one is more realistic? I've never been held hostage. I don't know if you have. If you're in a train, a room held hostage, are you allowed to talk to the other hostages or not? I wouldn't know that. But because of the fact that we got to know the characters in 1974, narratively, dramatically, I felt the plight of the 1974 passengers more, especially when we realised the significance of having all the lights set to green. It was more harrowing in the 1970s because we knew them as people, whereas in 2009 it was horrible, but just because it was a horrible thing to do. And that is one of the big differences for me between the two films. As Sherlockians know, there are many different variations on the Hound of the Baskervilles. Each interpretation brings something new to the table and has a unique perspective on how to tell that story, and each version can be enjoyed on a different level. And the same applies to the two Pelham 123 films. If you want a more action-packed version, go for the Denzel Washington, John Travolta version. If you're looking for something that is more of a tense thriller, go for the Walter Matthau, Robert Shaw version. Both versions are very good and they both serve a purpose. Personally, for me, I prefer the 1974 version simply because I have a preference for thrillers over action movies. But that is just a personal taste because they are both very good 4-star films. And yeah, I encourage you to watch them both. And that is what I thought about the two films. Have you seen either of them or both of them? And what did you think of them? Until next time, may your news be good news. Happy times and places. Farewell.